We've all seen people who drive really nice fast cars and live in beautiful homes. Have you ever wondered, how do they get there? I'm Kevin Watson, and I love really nice cars. On this show, we dive into our guest stories of what they dreamed of having when they first started out and how they achieved their dreams over time.
This is the Kevin Watson Show.
Hey guys, welcome to my podcast, The Kevin Watson Show. It's been a while since I've been on here, but I'm excited for my new guest. I've got Michael Brown, a good friend of mine and top producer for all of Churchill Mortgage, but not only that, but in the top 1% in the nation. So I'm excited to talk to him about that. So please make sure that you like, subscribe, or share this podcast with others. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So Michael, I've got some little questions I'm going to ask you, but the first one I'd like to start with is, how'd you get started in this crazy mortgage business?
Really, it's an accident.
Yeah.
I'm a finance and economics major.
Yeah.
Graduated in June of '94, and my first job was with Transamerica.
Yeah.
Back then, they were the pinnacle of finance companies. Had no idea what I'd be doing for Transamerica, and they hired me and put me in their consumer loan division. So I was doing small consumer loans. And then I graduated quickly to home equity loans. I thought that was the big deal.
Yeah.
And then really about 8 months after that, I got recruited quickly to Bank One Financial. I was there for a long time doing mortgages. So I've been in this mortgage tornado for 32 years.
Me too. This is my 32nd year. We got in the same time. Yeah, it was crazy. We kind of started in a similar path. You know, I started in that world with household finance.
Work for them.
And so there's no longer there anymore. But it was interesting. So tell me, when do you recall the time where you're like, I love this. This is what I'm going to be doing. Was that then, or when was that?
Well, probably my second year in the business at Bank One, where I started originating quite a bit and doing well. And of course, if you're in any sort of sales and you're having success, it's very addictive quickly. So not only that part of it, but I really enjoyed the whole mortgage process, helping clients get into homes, refinancing. So I fell in love with the business, and that's why 32 years I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
And that fire still burns today. I love what I do, and again, it's almost by luck I got into the business.
Yeah.
I'm blessed to be in the business and plan to be here for the long haul.
Yeah. I'm like you. I think it's divine intervention that I got in. I had lost a job, and I was looking for a job, and I found it through a recruiter, through to Household, and figured out I really love talking to people and helping them solve the puzzle, the financial puzzle, right?
That's my favorite part, solving problems.
Yeah. I feel that that's a blessing that God has blessed us with, especially you. And it's been really cool to see, over the 30 years of all the changes that we've seen in this business.
My son works for us now. I told Colin, I said, when I started, we had no computers, no mobile phones.
Yeah.
This is really aging me right now.
Yeah.
And it was my second year in the business before we even had a mobile phone.
Yeah.
And the lady at the front desk would type the paperwork out with the yellow piece of paper and the pink piece of paper and the white piece of paper for the client and for us. And to go from literally no technology to now we're doing it. The advances are just crazy.
We're paperless and AI.
is taking over. So
it's
we've gone through the full spectrum of no technology to high technology, and it's now we're trying to just keep
Speaking of technology, I'm trying to read my next question. I'm going to have to put my glasses on. So those of you that understand that, around 40 to 45, this is when this starts to happen. So I got at least cool glasses, right? Okay. So you're in the top 1% as loan officers in the entire country. What did the early years look like building that? And what do you feel that you did that just help you lead the pack that was different from other loan officers?
Well, I'm all about building relationships. I didn't want to be, I'm sure, dependent on the company leads.
Yeah.
I wanted to have my own business within a business. Mm-hmm. And so from the very beginning, my goal was to take the leads provided and then build relationships with every single one of those clients and realtor partners until eventually I'm completely self-gen, and that's our goal for our team. Yeah. So that's what I enjoy more than anything is building the relationships. And those are some of my best friends right now, these realtors. We love being together, working together, just doing business together. And we never stop. We're always looking to build more and more relationships. And that's what's helped my team grow and help me maintain
I think that's the key.
Our status.
I think that's the key, especially for younger originators, that are watching, is to never stop. I think that's really key because, I think some of them say, hey, I've got 5 realtors that said they're going to send me business and I should be fine. And then they stop. And then they may get a little bit of business from it, but what happens after that?
I've had 2 very long-standing realtors that amazing relationships, but we've been around for a long time. And these 2 realtors are in the business. They say it's time to call it quits.
That's right.
So that was a huge chunk of my business. So you can't gather a group together and assume they're going to last long term. You have to always continue to build the pipeline of realtor partners or other partners. And again, that's what I really enjoy doing the most, getting out there and providing value to my partners, always teaching them, educating them. Things are changing so quickly in our business. So there's always something of value to show them. And that's how we build our business.
Yeah. I've always said to my new loan officers that you can't really rely on one source of business. If it's a realtor or if it's a business that actually sends you business, you have to, the one thing you can rely on is your ability to continue to prospect, right? So if you can continue to do that, and prospecting today looks different than it used to, right? Tell me how that's changed since you first got into now.
Well, again, we don't cold call anybody.
Yeah.
Never have.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with a purchase transaction, there's a good possibility where you don't know the selling agent.
Right.
But you're communicating from day one throughout the entire process and showing them this is how the Brown team works and making sure it's a 5-star experience. I don't ever look at our numbers or how much volume we do our units, but I'm always looking at my reviews. That's the most important thing.
That's right.
Is a customer and the referral partner having a 5-star experience.
Yeah. And
if you're providing that, then the relationships will come and they'll stick around and they'll be there long term for you.
Yeah.
So there's people get intimidated by just getting on the phone and calling these agents they don't know. That's really not necessary. Focus on the partners you have. Try to get in front of their teams and teach them about the market and products. And then again, through the selling listing agents, you can always show them through the experience. This is how we operate. And typically, if you do a good job, they'll give you an opportunity to get in front of them.
Yeah. I've always read and heard that, and it is true that, people will probably forget all the details of the transaction, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Right.
Exactly.
And so if you leave with that final impression being like, wow, this was great. This was a enjoyable experience, as enjoyable as doing a mortgage can be, right?
Correct.
Because we have to get a lot of information and you're buying a big home. It's a big asset, probably the biggest debt you'll ever have. And so, but to have an enjoyable experience in that is great. In fact, that's one of the reasons I got in the business is because I didn't have an enjoyable experience with that. I was a banker. And I was like, that was terrible. I was nervous and scared. And I was like, I don't want that to ever happen to anyone else again. Yeah. Right. And I was like, I can make a difference. I can help just one at a time, and help them have a great experience.
Right.
And
go back to those reviews, man. Anything less than 5-star review, in my opinion, is not acceptable.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you'll get maybe a 4 rating or something happens and goes off tracks, and there's a lot of moving parts. But those are your greatest opportunities to learn.
That's right.
And perfect your system.
That's right.
So, if it was experience, communication is everything. Like Mike Harbig, our owner, says. Every problem is a result of a lack of communication or a miscommunication.
That's right.
So high communication from day one all the way through the end is critical.
Yeah. I think y'all are really good at that. Y'all have Maggie on your team that is proactive to doing that with their agents and is really great. So yeah, you're right. Communication is really key. And most people think that they're communicating enough, but they may not be, right? And I've never, ever had a review say he over communicated too much.
Never hear that.
Never.
Never.
But I've often heard the review, he didn't communicate enough. with me,
Absolutely.
or she or whomever it would be. So yeah, that does make a big difference. So you've seen this industry through multiple rate cycles and market crashes, and now this environment, right? So what's the single biggest challenge that you've witnessed, and how have you adapted to it?
Wow. And over this past year, just the extreme volatility is throwing everybody for a loop in our business. I mean, you never know what you're going to wake up to in the morning. And, end of February, we hit 3-year lows in rates. And then Monday morning, we're like, oh my God, we're in a war.
Yeah.
And the markets are going crazy.
Yeah.
And then I literally watch the news every morning, getting ready for work. And I can almost tell by what happened the night before how the markets are going to react. But the extreme volatility is just hard to keep up with. And we're, in my opinion, getting little direction as to where this is all headed.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of guessing right now. And typically in the old days, you could watch the stock market and tell what the bond market's going to do.
Yeah.
But that's not the case anymore. So just trying to keep up with all the geopolitical things happening and other things happening in our country.
I think Friday, the rates were going up and the stock market was getting killed.
Yeah.
And I was going, what's going on? Normally it's one or the other.
That's right. The opposite of what's normal is happening.
Yeah.
So the best you can do is stay tuned in to the markets and what's happening and what things affect the market, and communicate that to the clients so you can together make a good informative decision, because no one has a crystal ball.
Yeah.
But those who are truly tuned in and are students of the business, understand what economic things impact the markets, can best guide their clients. And a lot of loan officers, they couldn't tell you how the job reports or inflation or any unemployment affects the markets.
Yeah.
You have to understand how that works. And if the unemployment comes in higher than expected, what does that mean for the bond market?
Yeah.
So if you are a true student of the business and you understand the economics behind the markets, then you can truly guide your clients properly, or at least give them the best shot at making the best decision going forward.
That's one thing I've always told my loan officers about you, is that you are a real student of the business. You really do your research. You look at your products. You know all the products, because you never know where you're going to come across that person that needs that, and you really research that. So that's a really big key. In any industry, most of what we're talking about, you can apply this towards any industry, right? Yeah. Being a student of the business, being the expert, like Matt Clark will say, making sure that you're working harder than anyone in the room, and you guys definitely do that.
Well, you treat it as a job, or you treat it as a career.
Yeah.
And they'll just treat it as a job, they do the bare bone minimum.
That's right.
I mean, this is my career,
my
livelihood, and I want to make sure I'm providing best value to everybody I come in contact with. So you have to be an expert. Being
the CEO of your business.
Exactly.
Right? Right? That's for sure. Definitely. A lot of loan officers have washed out. We've seen a lot of them over the past few years due to rising rates. What separates the ones who thrive from the ones who quit?
Well, I've seen a lot of cycles.
Yeah.
And I've always said, both in the real estate side of the business and our side, that these cycles will wean out a large percentage of the folks in our business. And it's always, in my opinion, a healthy cleansing.
Yeah.
Because the ones who are serious are going to stick around, and it could be tough.
Yeah.
We've gone through some cycles.
I think you said it earlier, is it your job or your career?
Exactly. Right. But on the other side, those who make it through typically flourish.
Yeah.
So, kind of, you and I together, we've been through at least 3 pretty big cycles.
Yeah.
And this most recent one, in my opinion, you could correct me if you think wrong, but this has been the toughest one so far.
I agree. We both went through the meltdown in 2008, and when all the, just about every day guidelines were getting tougher and tougher and tougher, and you had to requalify your person just about every day, and it was tough. And they were doing the thing called short sale. I didn't even know what that was. And then someone said, I'm going to do a short sale. And I had to look it up and figure out what it was. But by the time 2010 came, I knew what short sales were, because we had done a lot of them. And so that change was tough, but I agree with you. I think this one is a little bit tougher.
It's been the toughest and the longest one so far.
Yeah, and it's taken a long time to recover from that. And it's really been tough on our realtors, I've learned a new respect for the realtors that are still in, And those guys and gals work hard.
They do.
They are the salt of the earth, hardworking people. And I just admire any of them that are closing anything right now. I know the numbers say that there are not many, but and then you look at those that are just closing a lot. What do you think makes the difference between the ones that are closing 1 or 2 a year or none a year versus the ones that are closing like 10 a month?
Well,
because you work with some of them.
I think part of it is folks like you and I and other realtors who have been in business for a long time, they've worked hard to build that clientele over time. So they work with a lot of folks, and that definitely helps. And then the ones who are fairly new in the business, who are grinding and doing really, really well, like I always say, what's the magic formula? There is no magic formula to what you and I do.
Right.
It's nothing sexy about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about this activity.
Yeah.
And from the time we come in to the time we leave, our heads are down, and we're, like you said, being the hardest worker in the room, and it's just a numbers game. You have to be constantly prospecting, constantly in front of your partners, constantly providing value to your realtors and your borrowers, and never stop. There's just no downtime at all.
Yeah.
So even when things is slow, there's plenty of opportunity to get out there and meet more people and get in front of more people. So if you just do away with the woe is me and just focus on what's the next thing I could do to continue to build a business, there's still a lot of opportunity out there.
Yeah. Mentor of mine, Greg Goodman. Greg, if you're watching, hey buddy, he said, success a lot of times is based on two main factors. Number one, how fast you get up once you're knocked down, right? We're all going to have a tough something that's going to hit us and hurt, right? We worked really hard with a client and then they go elsewhere or something like that. Or a realtor, that we've worked with, or a referral source. And then the second one is how fast you implement, right? So when you get an idea and you're like, okay, that's the idea I'm going to implement into my system. And I've noticed about you're very quick with implementing great ideas, and you're also very quick. I don't even see you down at all. It's almost like a bounce right back up and keep going. Tell me a little bit about both of those.
Well, the one thing, again, Mike Harbaugh always said, you go to these seminars and these classes and you hear 30 good ideas and you're writing them all down, then you leave and you go back to your office and you do nothing with it.
Yeah.
Set it aside and you have good intentions. I always try to find just 1 or 2 things that are impactful, like input in place immediately.
Yeah.
And just don't think, just do.
Yeah.
And put them in place and try them. And most of the time they'll work out.
Let's say that again. Don't think, just do.
That's all.
I think that's
what. Don't think, just do.
I think that's what a lot of us do sometimes is we get baked in a squat of thinking, and we don't get up and take action. And sometimes it's okay to take action and make adjustments as we're going, right? Because we do, right? I'm sure many of us, we're both in a high D as in the DISC profile, which can get us in trouble sometimes too.
It can.
But the good thing about the high Ds is we do before we think sometimes, right? But yeah, for those of us, there's 90% of the other population don't do it like that.
I call it paralysis by analysis. You just overthink, and you just, should I do it? Should I not do it? And eventually you don't do anything at all.
Right.
So if it's a good idea and jump in there and try it out, you can always adjust it.
Right. Try it out and make mid-game adjustments.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah. I think you have to. And you may find a different conclusion that you thought.
Surprise you.
Yeah. So let's talk about first-time buyers. I know right now I'm helping some first-time buyers. I just had one go under contract, and I'm excited about it. And but a lot of them are worried about buying a home now, feeling that it's unaffordable. You're hearing it on the news, you see it everywhere. And, when you look in the county we're in right now, Williamson County, right? It's one of the wealthiest counties in the world. And so when you're looking at that, the prices seem pretty high here. But what are you finding? I know you're helping a lot of first-time buyers, right? I know that's about half of my business is helping first-time buyers. So what are you finding? What solutions are y'all finding to be able to help those first-time buyers?
Well, I was actually working with the first-time home buyer before I walked in here, and the challenge that we're having is in Middle Tennessee, average first-time home buyer home is probably around 400,000, I would say.
Yeah.
And we think about with today's rates with taxes and insurance. I mean, you're going to make pretty close to $90,000 to $100,000 a year to go for a $400,000 to $500,000 house. So the realtor I was talking to on the phone just now said, this client is looking in the $400 to $450 range, but she wants to give her payment at like $2,700 a month all in. And I'm like, that's just not possible. And so affordability is a huge challenge, huge. It seems to be the biggest challenge for a first-time home buyer. Inventory in that range of 300,000 to 500,000 is challenging. There is more inventory, but at that price point, you have institutional investors coming in, gobbling up properties. You have cash buyers coming in. So when the inventory comes in at that price range, it typically goes pretty quick if it's a quality property because there's not a lot in that range.
Investors too.
Yeah, investors, absolutely. And so in Middle Tennessee, I think most people are buying 600,000, $700,000 million plus.
Yeah.
So if you buy a decent property in that lower price point, it's gone, or even multiple offers.
Yeah.
So affordability is still a challenge. Inventory at that price point is a challenge. Down payment. I bet you the bulk of my first-time home buyers are getting some sort of assistance from parents.
Yeah.
And there's down payment assistance programs available.
I think the last stat I saw was a little bit over 60%.
That sounds about right.
First-time buyers were getting help from mom and dad.
It's super common.
So, by the way, send this to mom and dad so they can help you.
I've been there
because
so
if you think about it, if you're mom and dad, right, wouldn't you love for your kids to be able to get in a home, right, early and build wealth earlier because you did it, right? You're sitting on a chunk of change in your equity, right? And we all know that that's the way to build wealth in America.
Absolutely.
Right now. It is the way to do it. And you can do the math all day, and we can show you that math, if you ever want to see that. A lot of people talk about stocks now versus buying. Like, hey, I'll just rent, and I will go ahead and just buy stock instead, and then I'll make more. I'll be wealthier at the end. Tell me about why that doesn't work.
Oh, I mean, it's a huge risk. I mean, right now the stock market is at record highs, but with all the volatility out there, that could change very, very quickly.
It changed on Friday pretty well.
Oh, absolutely. And if you look over the history of housing, I mean, it's maybe slow, but it's always over time continues to go up in value. So it could be a more conservative approach, but I've read a lot of articles about the stock market versus housing. Yeah. And to me, it's a high risk proposition for sure.
Well, and the one thing I've never seen anyone, I've seen a lot of social media posts on it, and then I'll read some of the comments. And it's funny because I've never seen them come back and say, in 30 years, how much are you paying in rent? Right? So,
factor that in.
I've been in my house 20 years this year, and I have no payment other than taxes and insurance. Right? So my rent is very cheap.
That's right.
Right? And I get to write off the taxes off of my income because it's tax deductible. So the only thing I'm really paying that's taxed is insurance. Mm-hmm. And so, as a renter, you never get there, right? You'll never get to owning your own property. So I always tell people right now, buying assets when you're young is the key, right? Or your income should be, for one thing, to feed your family, take care of your family, but then secondarily, you should be buying assets, right? While you're young and you're able to, and because you have time on your side.
That's right.
Right? And when you're our age, time is not on your side. And you can put money in, but it just doesn't make it as big of an impact.
You're right about it. You're right.
It doesn't have as big of an impact, So it's got a multiplier when you're in your 20s and 30s.
Correct.
That you're not going to get 40s and 50s.
Agreed.
Especially 60s. So I've heard also one of the biggest things when I search through Reddit and I look through buyers, one of the biggest reasons most buyers are not buying right now is they're afraid that they're going to buy a home and the price is going to go down. The value is going to go down. What do you say to that?
Well, I think part of that is the narrative you hear in the news about housing. There's a housing market potentially crash coming, values are dropping. But when you really dig into it and look at the research, that's not the case, especially in Middle Tennessee. I mean, home prices are leveling off for sure, but we don't see home values dipping.
Yeah.
So fairly flat is still appreciating, 2, 3 to 4% right now. But I don't foresee any housing crash, not in this market anyway. There's still a lot of people moving here.
I went to a prestigious university called the University of Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. And it was funny. I learned something in my statistics class. And the thing I learned is you can make numbers say whatever you want them to say, right? And so I think that's what the press does a lot of times. And they'll talk about the median average. Well, they're saying the median average price went down, right? Well, it's because the smaller homes are selling faster. So you have more of that volume. So that makes your median go down. If you want to Google or go to chat and get what median really means, you'll see that. You'll be like, oh. So, but the higher homes are selling, but they're just not selling as fast. But they did predict next year about a 2.5% increase in value. So I just did the math and I took a $500,000 home, right? And I said, in 5 years, if I only made 2.5% on that home, then I'd have about 70 grand in equity in 5 years. And then if you're a renter, how much equity do you have? None.
Zero.
None, right? And as a renter, how much of your rent is affected by inflation? 100%, right? And so as a renter, how much tax break do you get? None.
Zero.
Right? So it's an asset leverage, right? So we talked about buying assets, right? So buying assets is all about how can you leverage that asset over time? And you can't do that with stock. You can't buy Invita or you can't buy a stock and have someone else live in it and pay you payments on the mortgage to get it, on the loan that you did to get it. You can't do that, right? But here's a great example. My wife put in $10,000 to buy her first house in Fieldstone Farms, nice little community. But the home is not anything special. It's a tract home built by maybe Ryan Homes or something. And it's fine, but 1,780 square feet. She bought it for like $164. It's worth like $770 now. Okay. And so she has an infinite little return on investment on that 10,000, right? From 160 to 770, right? But she took that $10,000 asset and made it a huge asset, right? That's cash flowing to us in revenue and still growing, and it's still ours. So where else can you do that with stock? You can't do that with any other asset class I know of.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, the stock market is attractive, and you hear all these. You hear all the success stories. What you never hear are people are on there posting all the bad stories. They just hear a few success stories, and they think, "Oh, that's what's going to happen to me." And I can tell you from firsthand experience and dabbling in stocks, and
I would say it's smart to be diversified. You don't want to be just real estate. I had a point in my life where my financial planner was like, "Okay, Kevin, I know you love real estate, but you got too much of that, not enough of this." So it's smart to be diversified. You want to have a little bit of both. But if you're going to be heavy on anything, I'd be heavy on real estate.
And you've proven that. You're super successful with your real estate.
Yeah, we've been super blessed. Yeah. I mean, I would say I kind of did what you did. I just did it, and then I made it work, and I figured it out, and it happened to be the right one, the right move, the right county, the right city, and all that. So it worked out really well for us too. But so for our first-time buyers, is now the best time to buy, or would you wait and see if the prices get better, or what do you think?
That's a great question. Let me tell you, almost every contract that comes across my desk has seller concessions, price reductions. Yeah. Sellers are bending over backwards to sell their properties. Now, it could be a little bit more competitive in that lower price point for first-time home buyers. However, there are still some amazing deals out there right now. Yeah. So, the rate's a little bit higher today, but you can always refinance down the road. But I'll tell you what, when rates do come back down again, think about the activity just a few months ago when rates hit 3-year lows. I was shocked.
It was crazy.
The phones were blowing up, and that that was just a little small window.
Yeah.
So if we get this conflict behind us, rates come back down again, so many more people will jump back in the market. And what's going to happen?
They'll drive prices up.
Home prices are going to jump. People will get competitive again, multiple offers. So
no concessions for any closing costs or anything.
It'll be pass fail inspections and no seller concessions at all. So yeah, do I think it's a great time to buy? I think it's a fantastic time to buy. We're seeing some amazing deals out there. And it's funny, I look at some of the homes that are listed for, and then my clients and builders are like, oh no, we're going in at this number. I'm like, you're going that low? Right? Absolutely. It's been in the market for 120 days. I'm like, that's fantastic. I hope it works for you. But I mean, buyers are going in low because there are deals out there to be made.
There are. And there are those sellers that still feel like their house is worth what it was worth in 2021 and 20 and 21 when there were multiple offers and there were ridiculous
They're
prices.
probably the same folks who bought their house for 50 or 100,000 over asking price.
Yes.
Which in our county here was the norm.
Yeah, it was. And they're sitting there going, I want to make my money back and then some. And so to those sellers, I would say, be reasonable, and we're not in 21 anymore, right? And I know you realtors are loving this, so you can take that and snip it and put it out everywhere. But we're not in 21 anymore, right? And so sellers need to be reasonable, but there are enough sellers that are reasonable that buyers that are out there are getting a deal.
Absolutely.
There's 6 times more sellers available than buyers right now. So buyers are getting a deal. So if you're a buyer and you're thinking of sitting on the sidelines, I agree with Michael. I would get in now immediately. The window, we do not know how fast this window is going to shut, right? I mean, they could come to a peace treaty anytime, and then that rate will start getting better.
What they say in not Nashville, but in the whole country, for every 1% lower interest rate, 5 million more people will jump back in the market. That's a whole
5
country.
million.
But think about it. That's
I don't think we even sold. I think we sold around 4 million last year total. And so if you've got another 5 million, that's doubling the amount of buyers that bought last year.
That's right.
Even more. So I agree with you.
And that lock-in effect, those people at the low rates, I think if we get back in the 5s, they're more willing to finally make a move versus trying to do it when it's 6 or 7%. So that'll be even more people trying to sell and move if that happens. I do think that will happen eventually.
I do too. So I'm still of the opinion, it sounds like Michael is as well, of buying something now as a first-time buyer, or even if you're a move-up buyer and you're wanting to move up right now, you're going to sell, you're going to have to take a little bit of a haircut probably on the sell, right? But when you buy, you're going to get the deal on the buy. So you're getting the deal on the bigger home. So you're getting a better deal. You see? So if I were you, I'd move up for sure. First time buyer for sure. A great time to buy, because when rates come down, it's going to drive home prices up. It's going to drive demand up. And that's going to happen.
And they say the best deals
We've done it for 30 plus years. So we've seen it every time.
And they say the best deals out there right now are really any new construction, because builders do not want to trim those prices.
Right.
They're desperate to keep the price at a certain level.
Right.
Because otherwise it affects all their comparables.
They have to compete with the next one they're trying to sell.
Exactly. So they'll give concessions like crazy just to maintain that price point.
Yeah.
So not only the existing inventory, but new builds, there's a lot of great deals out there.
No, I agree 100%. They're going, hey, that same house that was bought 20, 30 years ago is the same house, but it's gone up like 7 to 8 times the value. And my answer, and I'd love to hear yours, Michael, is I do think it's going to stay there fairly close. We may have a little soft year or two during stuff like we are in now. But because if you look at the demographics, that's really where it shows. If you look at the population growth, then it's simply an economics equation. It's supply versus demand. So the problem was 20 years ago, our population wasn't as high as it is now, and it's getting higher, and we have a lot of people coming in from other countries, and so and people are living longer. So if you look at the population by itself, just to say, are we going to need more houses? And the answer is yes.
Look,
so
Nashville's
it's
a
a pretty
perfect
simple
example of that. I mean, 20 years ago, we were called a little big town.
Yeah.
We are a big town now. I mean, the population has exploded, especially over
500 a day moving to Nashville.
I heard that in the news recently. And over the last 4 or 5 years, it's absolutely exploding. So with that many people coming here, demand for housing is up. They're not going anywhere. We're just getting more and more folks here. I don't see it changing at all. I mean, I think values here will continue to,
and if you look
not
over
the same rapid pace, but they'll continue to appreciate going forward.
Yeah. And you know, time is always a good tale. If you look over the last 63 years, there's only been a couple of times that home prices have actually dropped.
There's like 2 times.
Yeah. And one of the major times was when we had this big housing crisis. And if you look back to how much inventory we had at that time, we had way too much, inventory. And that's why it went down. Now, our inventory is going up now, but it's not even close, close to where it should be. It's still way low. And so as long as those main factors are in play, then I'd say, it's a simple economics answer saying yes, supply and demand. There's still more demand than there is supply most years, right? You're going to have some soft years, but it's like the stock market. One year the market may not move at all. The next year it moves 30%, right? Problem is just like the stock market, never try to time the market. It's not about timing the market. It's about time in the market, right? And it's about, just like I was telling you about that house that we bought, because we didn't sell it, like we were successful. That's all I did was just not sell it, right?
Yeah.
You had the same success with your business because you just didn't quit. You're successful, and I'm successful because we just didn't quit. We just kept on finding a way
We grow
to making it go.
ways
Right.
every time in the business. That's right.
Yeah. The other thing I would tell first-time buyers is to not think that you're going to move out of your parents' house and buy your parents' house, right? So you need
That
to
is the trend today.
set your expectations much, much lower. You are not going to be in your dream home, in your first home, right?
When Andy and I bought our first house, we bought it was a condo. It was actually a 2-bedroom, good-sized condo, and we paid $70,000.
Yeah.
And we thought we were in a Taj Mahal. We were so excited.
Yeah.
But now kids get out of school, they get a job, making good money, and they immediately want to be in the same neighborhood that we're in. And I'm like, that's not how it works. You have to work your way up. But
It's a stair step. You start with a smaller one, you build equity, you stair step to the next one, you stair step to the next one, and over and over. And then you get to where we are with a bunch of equity in our home, but we got a little bitty mortgage, or if we have a mortgage at all, because we stair stepped over time. So that's the hard part with real estate, is it's a get rich slow thing. But 30 years later, you're overnight success. Right. But it's just, that's how it works. But real estate always works well, and it's always been good. They're not going to build any more dirt. Right. So, well, Michael, thank you so much for being on.
for having me.
Yeah, this is good, man. I enjoyed jabbing together. We're going to have to do this some more.
I agree.
This has been fun. This is fun. Well, guys, make sure you like, share, or subscribe for here. And then if you want more content, just give us some feedback. Let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear, and we'd be glad to address it. Take care.